Hello, my name is Kevin. I've quit 2 jobs without a backup plan, and if you're thinking about doing the same thing, I'd like to share 3 pieces of advice with you that I learned going through the experience. So in 2017, I left civil engineering to pursue a job in tech, and in 2022, I left my tech job to run a startup, my own startup, solopreneurship, that whole thing. And both times, I left with kind of this larger goal in mind, but really no substantial plan. I didn't have a job prospect waiting for me on the other end. I just kind of quit. A little impulsive, you might say, but I knew it was right for me, and you probably know that it's right for you because of whatever reason, some boss, some coworker, change of heart, change of plans, new hobbies, whatever it might be. My first piece of advice is be stubborn about your goals, but flexible about your methods. Now, since you're jumping off the cliff without a parachute, it's important to kind of at least have some idea of where you want to land. Like for me, when I left civil engineering, I knew it wanted to be technology. When I left technology, I knew I wanted to run a startup. Both of those things had some very large landing pad marked out in yellow, ready for me to land on when I was ready to pursue this next thing. I didn't quit just because I had to quit. Now, sometimes toxic environments, all that, you just have to get out and do something else. I get that. And not every quitting of job is changing your entire career path like I did. I get that too. So maybe the opportunities are clear. You're just gonna keep doing something similar to what you're doing today. That's totally fine. But knowing and outlining that goal of where you want to go is important. But because you're quitting your job and you don't exactly know how you're going to get there, you kind of got to be flexible. I describe it as if you're trying to get to New York and you're starting in San Diego, you can get to New York a lot of different ways. You don't have to hit every single city that the person before you did. So it's important to carve out your own plan. My second piece of advice is be a student. The fact that we're building the plane while flying it means that we didn't have a fully assembled plane when we hit the takeoff. So being a student means getting on that mindset of hey, I'm going to be trying something new. I'm going to be in a new job. I'm going to be around new people, or I'm going to pursue some new career. I need to learn. And you kind of got to put that cap back on that you had in elementary school and high school and college even, where you're just constantly trying to ingest this information, figure out how are you going to, regurgitate it for productive purposes. We're building a plane, so it's important to learn how to build that plane. Otherwise, you're gonna crash. One of the biggest benefits of quitting work is you're now kind of outside the corporate bubble that you're kind of stuck in when you're in a job. When you're in a job, you're surrounded by the local drama. You're involved in projects. You're stressed out because 40 hours a week, at least, you're kind of involved in whatever's going on in the company. But when you quit your job, you're now free of all of that, because you literally can't enter the doors of the company anymore, but you kind of see things with a little more clarity. Like I did both times that I left. I'm okay, I can get up to speed on the latest in the industry, because if I try to learn something new and I Google it, that's hopefully what comes up. Third piece of advice I have for quitting your job for somewhere new is to be mindful of your lifestyle. When you leave your job, you have to have at least 2 things figured out. 1, I believe you have to kind of have that rough idea of where you want to go, but 2, is money. Building a plan is important, and I have 2 strategies that I use to kind of make sure my money was working for me. First, save up money to buy yourself some time. This sounds super obvious, but if you're just gonna quit, it's good to have a little bit of an egg. So the amount of time you need, you should try to figure out how much money would you need to kind of get by in case you don't have that. And that buys you time, and that time can be everything, because the more time you have, the more opportunities you can explore, and the more picky you can be about where you go next. Second strategy is to build a side hustle that pays you money. When I left my corporate job, I actually had a hobby blog that was making money for me on the side. While I was building it, I was spending a lot of time almost every single day doing this thing for 2 years. But 2 years later, before I left my job, I now had my main job salary and the side income salary. And the side income allowed me to supplement my main income, so that when I left, jumped off the cliff and did all that, I had kind of this nest egg a little bit along with my savings that allows me to buy more time. And time is so important. In the psychology of money, Morgan Housel says that the control over our time is the most important factor in happiness. It's not money, it's control over our time. So the more that you can solve the money equation when you're jumping off the cliff, when you're building the plane while flying it, the more you can solve that money equation, probably the happier you're gonna be. And ultimately, You're making this switch because you want to be happier. And honestly, if I wasn't willing to give a few things up when I made the switch, when I was trying to change into the new career, I'd have to question if it was really worth it to me if I wasn't willing to give up a few things for a while in my lifestyle so that I could have this new opportunity. As we speak, I'm building a startup called Tetheros. If you have a need for project management or better teamwork, like check out the link below. I'm not here to sell that to you, but it is kind of what I moved into. So if you're curious, like what's this crazy guy even talking about, you can check out Tetheros below. Anyways, that's all I have. My name's Kevin. Thanks for visiting my channel. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video.